Follow the 2021-22 Premier League season on the OneFootball app, with breaking news stories, match stats and live scores. Get customised push notifications to receive team news, goal alerts and more. Download it for free, the link is in the description. International break is almost over, and it's time to turn our attention to Saturday's Gameweek 12 deadline. But first, let's cast our minds back to Gameweek 11, where a score of 64 points saw a rise to up inside the top 100,000. There were 3 clean sheets out of 4 at the back, with Alexander-Arnold and Cancelo also picking up 3 assists between them. The Liverpool right-back attempted 4 assists in defeat to West Ham, only trailing Reece James amongst defenders during the game week, with 5. In midfield, Mohamed Salah took a game-week high total of 10 touches in the opposition's box, and extended his run of consecutive returns to 9 matches. Rafinha scored for a second successive match, while Saka and Mbeumo each saw goals ruled out for offside. Even more frustratingly, it was Ivan Toney who played in the out-of-position midfielder for his disallowed goal against Norwich. Jamie Vardy was also on the wrong side of a VAR review, when his flick-on was tapped in by Lookman from an offside position. So now let's move on to discuss the transfer plans ahead of Gameweek 12. With 2 free transfers available and 2.5 million in the bank, it's time up for Jamie Vardy. The Leicester forward has failed to score or assist in 3 successive game weeks, and faces an impressive Chelsea defence up next. Whilst there are better fixtures to come for the Foxes, it's the appeal of Harry Kane that makes selling Vardy all the more tempting. 7 goals in 2 matches for England will serve as a nice confidence boost, ahead of 3 inviting home ties in the next 4 game weeks. Leeds and Norwich both rank amongst the bottom 3 teams for XG conceded this season, and Brentford meanwhile have suffered 4 consecutive defeats, with no clean sheets and 8 goals conceded in that time. I could just leave it there and save the other free transfer, but it's hard to ignore the form of Reece James. He's played a hand in 4 goals in the last 3 game weeks, also keeping 2 clean sheets, to average 13.7 points per game. No defender has offered as many as his 10 attempted assists in that time, while his 2 big chances created ranks joint best with Alexander-Arnold. Only Cancelo has landed more than his 4 shots on target. The issue though is deciding who to sell for the Chelsea wingback, between Antonio Rudiger and Ruben Dias. Rudiger himself has been demonstrating some impressive goal threat of late, with his tally of 7 shots in the last 3 game weeks trailing only Cancelo amongst defenders. 6 of those came from inside the box, a tally only matched by Reece James. Man City arguably have the better fixtures to come, and I actually think they've got a better chance of a clean sheet in the next 2 game weeks. But selling Dias would free up an extra 0.4 million compared to selling Rudiger. And given that I've been benching him a fair bit, and will look to use Livramento more, and at times play 3-4-3, I'm leaning towards letting Dias go. But no transfers have been made yet, I'll confirm them as usual prior to the deadline. And here's how the team is set to line up for Gameweek 12. As impressive as Ramsdale has been, with 5 clean sheets in 8 matches, it's hard to see him keeping out Liverpool this weekend. But in the last 4 game weeks, only Tim Krul has made more than his 16 saves, an average of 4 per game. It's said to be a template back 4, with Livramento expected to recover from his knock to face Norwich. The right back has kept clean sheets in 3 of the last 4 game weeks, with a goal and assist in the last 5. Southampton have recorded the lowest XG conceded figure in the last 4 game weeks. Cancelo's tally of 16 shots in the same period ranks joint best in the league, level with Mohamed Salah. Meanwhile, Alexander-Arnold has fashioned 9 attempted assists, only trailing Reece James with 10. Bukayo Saka drops to the bench ahead of a trip to Anfield, but Nearly man Brian Mbeumo will keep his place. Though he's only recorded 1 big chance in his last 4 matches, he's struck the woodwork 3 times. Newcastle are still without a clean sheet this season, and have conceded 8 goals in the last 4 game weeks, with only Watford, Norwich, Aston Villa and Man United faring worse. Rafinha completes the midfield, alongside Mohamed Salah, having scored 4 goals in his last 6 league appearances. The Brazilian ranks joint 4th for attempted assists in that time amongst midfielders, only trailing Townsend, Tielemans and Fernandes, while only Salah can better his 24 shots. In the last 4 game weeks, only Christian Benteke has taken more shots in total or from inside the box than Ivan Toney amongst forwards. The The 25-year-old has landed 4 efforts on target in that time, trailing only Rodrigo, Benteke and Aubameyang. Completing the lineup alongside probable new signing Harry Kane is Raul Jimenez. The Mexican has recorded 2 big chances in the last 4 game weeks, ranking behind only Aubameyang, Joshua King and Benteke. Wolves have scored just 6 goals in the last 4 game weeks, but only Chelsea and Liverpool have fashioned more than their 9 big chances. Mohamed Salah has enjoyed a monopoly on captaincy over the last 4 game weeks, but there's a bigger decision to make this time around. The Egyptian has slowed down slightly by his incredibly high standards over the past 2 game weeks, where he's failed to register a goal or big chance, still notching 2 assists. Liverpool have slipped down to 4th place in that time, dropping points to Brighton and West Ham, and now face an improved Arsenal side with 3 wins on the bounce. Despite all that, it will still take some courage to back against Salah at Anfield, but I'm actually leaning towards Harry Kane this week, with the intention to captain him in each of his next 3 home matches. We've seen him start to look more like his old self for England over the break, though admittedly against weak opposition. Salah would comfortably beat him if we were to compare their recent underlying numbers, but we don't really have much data to go off for Spurs under Conte yet. So for me, it comes down to the fact that he's an elite striker under a new manager against a defence that has the tendency to leak goals against top table sides. Away from home against the traditional Big 6 teams last season, Leeds conceded 21 goals in 6 matches, with only Southampton faring worse. They conceded a league-high 2.99 XG per game meanwhile, and allowed the most shots in total and from inside the box. They've only faced 2 of those sides so far this season, Man United away and Liverpool at home, and they shipped a combined total of 8 goals against them.